Hello, everybody, and welcome to Framing Leadership. I'm Todd Billingsley, and I'm joined by my friend Al Herrera. I've known Al for only a couple years. Al, good to see you, brother. Love the
Good,
hat.
bro.
Love the hat, Big Daddy. Love the buffalo in the background, right? I think that's important. I love that symbolism of the buffalo. But I digress. Good to see you, man. I've known Al for a little bit over 2 years, but kindred spirits, man. Al is a leadership coaching guru. He is currently a coach out in the field and leader out in the field. Uh, we have developed a friendship around, just our love for leadership and coaching and helping people thrive at work. Al is a heck of a golfer, right? I've got to be on the links with old Albert, and he can hit it. And it's
I get it on
Al.
the course on occasion.
Hey, man, welcome to Framing Leadership. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Todd. Billy. Love it, man. Yeah, I knew the first day I met you, man. I was like, this guy is extremely obsessed with leadership. And I thought I was the only one. And so, man, as soon as I met you, I knew, we'd be brothers for life. And I think, what you're doing is extremely important, man. Being able to share the information, get it in as many people's hands as possible to change the way leadership's framed up, bro. So I love what you're about, man.
Well, thanks. Hey, I just want to, as we walk people through your leadership journey, what you're currently doing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, man. So for me, played sports all my life around great coaches. My stepdad's a coach, man. He coached me in high school. And, uh, growing up, I just had some great people around me that poured into me. And I love the feeling of getting better, pushing myself, being challenged. And then I worked at a prison for 5 years. Little known fact, penitentiary in Beaumont, Texas. Probably not the best place for me to be if I wanted to coach people that were coachable.
Right.
But then got into the pharmaceutical industry, and man, I just saw so much development. And so my journey really was, I was just shocked to be in the room with a doctor and them actually listening to me, which was crazy because my first stint was with Merck in 2002. And I'll be honest, I was scared, man. I was like, I went in the first office. I was so nervous. I was like, this doctor's about to listen to me. And I always thought doctors were gods, as a kid. So once that happened, once I started to understand what we were doing, really got comfortable with helping my teammates. Like I was so ignorant to the industry that I asked so many questions that I had so many people pouring into me and I had so many answers because I asked everybody. And my manager, another little known fact that I'm not ashamed of, I tried to go get an MBA and I couldn't even get into my alma mater. They wouldn't accept me. So my manager was pushing me, you really need to do this. And she goes, why don't you go to headquarters at Merck? So I went to headquarters knowing that, at some point wanted to grow and into this type of role. And she wanted me to be a manager and I didn't want to be a manager. I was like, I don't think that's for me. I don't like what you do. I don't like how you do it.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. And one of the things she said that I think really what led me to true servant leadership, which I didn't know at the time, was I helped so many people that if something happened to her, they would select me as their manager from the team. And that's what kind of changed my mind about leadership. So I went on this journey, worked for Merck, got laid off, invested in myself, went and joined the John Maxwell team. And then it's been, a love affair ever since with leading people, man, and getting with people like you, bro.
Well, you're good at it, brother. So there is no doubt about it. You have a way with people. I love that mindset around servant leadership, right? Because it's something that people always feel like when you talk about servant or transformational leadership, they always go, oh, that's nice, but it's soft, right? People always think it's soft. It's really hard, right, to be a servant leader. The competencies and the characteristics of servant leader and a transformational leader is right. I don't have all the answers. I'm going to bring out the best of other people together. We're going to make some really good stuff happen. And that's what I love about servant leadership. It's helping people discover their own strengths, helping others to thrive at work. And that's one of the things that I want to talk to you about. There's a book and I've talked about it a little bit on LinkedIn, but there's a book I recently finished titled "Helping People Win at Work." It was Ken Blanchard,
Oh,
right?
nice.
Gary Rich, right? Are you familiar with that?
No, I haven't read it, man, but I just wrote it down.
Yeah, so Ken Blanchard was a professor at Colgate back in the day, right? And what he did was he used to give his students the final exam at the start of the first class. So he'd give everybody the final exam of the first class, and man, the dean at Colgate was like, "Bro, you cannot give the final exam the first day of the semester. Not only do I not like it, and I don't think it looks good, but your other professors don't like it at all." And he said to the dean, like, what's my job? Isn't my job to help people get an A? Like, isn't it my job to teach these people to thrive and to be at their best? You know, I don't know how many teachers I had in college, but I can guarantee you now, one of them said, "Todd, my job is to help you get an A." Right? It was like, "Hey, you're gonna get lucky if you get a C in this class."
That's right.
You know, anatomy, physiology, you'll get lucky if you actually get a C. That will be an A+ for you. I'm kidding. But you know, but that is
we're lowering the bar for you, Billy.
Standard, bro. But one of the things they taught, I just thought that was a fascinating mindset. Like, hey, my job is to help people thrive and to get an A. That's my job as a teacher, to help them learn and develop and become their best. And so he basically, when he started situational leadership, that was kind of his mindset, was how do we help people thrive at work? And then Gary Ridge heard, you know, WD-40, where Gary Ridge was the CEO, was located in San Diego. Not a bad place to be located. Nice. And he went and Blanchard teaches a lot at San Diego, University of San Diego, and did a leadership development course there. And Ridge was there and heard this discussion around helping people win at work. He's like, wait a second, like what? Like, what if I went into WD-40 and we changed the mindset of our coaches is, hey, I understand performance management. I understand our job is to coach and lead and manage people. But what if we framed it around helping people thrive at work, and instead of managing performance, we develop performance? And he walked away from WD-40 when he first took over. They were about a $300 million company. By the time he left 20 years later, they were $3.5 billion. He grew market cap 5x, and his employee engagement score, which, you know, Gallup shows at 27% globally, was at 93%.
Wow, that's incredible.
So I think that's the one thing. One, give me your thoughts on that mindset of helping people thrive at work. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that's really good. I didn't know that story. So every time I talk to you, Todd, I learn something, and I always take notes, bro. So excuse me if I put my head down and write a couple notes. But one of the things that you said that it's kind of deeply ingrained in me, and a belief, is optimism. Like, it's one of my values, and I believe that people can do things instead of showing them where they can't or where they're missing the mark. And I'm with you. Like, there's a time to be tough, right? And I think as you want people to win, as long as you have a willing participant that wants to win in their life, and whatever that looks like. Because some people, let's be honest, they say they want one thing. They actually don't want that at all. And it is our job as leaders to figure that out. Like, you said you want to win, but what I see is this. So that's not really a winning combination, but being able to figure out how to help them win at work might mean something completely different. But it's actually, you said soft skill, and I've heard that so often. And, you know, I actually think it's much harder.
Oh, dude, I loathe the term soft skills.
Yep.
I think of them as power skills because, right, what's the hardest thing is connecting with human beings.
That's right.
The possibilities that they have in themselves, right? Giving them feedback, not because it's critical, it's to help them thrive and become their best. You know,
love it.
I think that's what I love about that philosophy. So I think one of the things is as I think about leadership development, I think about coaching, right? We lead and we coach people and we manage process. But one of the things I consistently see when I work with companies and I work with others is that their focus on their development programs is 90% on management.
That's right.
Right. It's managing process, managing expense reports, managing your day, managing performance management stuff, critical, challenging conversations. They never talk about good conversations. It's always like, hey, Al, we got to talk about challenging conversations because you're just going to have people you're going to have challenging conversations with.
That's right.
Instead of like saying, and I really believe in one of the things we try to do both at Behringer and I know at Biohaven, the things that I continue to try to do is like, what if we developed the characteristics and competencies of really great leaders and really great coaches, and we spent 90% of our time there helping them understand that their jobs is helping people thrive at work and build the skills and competencies and characteristics that would help them thrive at work. And then we only use 10% of our time. And I really think that's the ratio, 10% of our time managing process.
Fantastic.
And that's what I've been trying to do. So, yeah.
Todd, that's why you have to continue to evangelize, because you don't need to manage that much when you lead really, really well.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to put a microphone and a megaphone and yell from the mountaintops that people need what you have, man. That is a requirement now. Like, it's not just hey, if we have extra money, extra time, like this is a necessity, especially after COVID, because people they know there's options.
Yeah.
You want to retain the best, then you have to be the best. And that's one of the things that I love about what you're doing, man.
Yeah, man, I love that. If you want to retain the best, you have to, you have to, I think you have to develop, people they want to know how they can be relevant in this changing marketplace, right? In this evolving landscape that we live in and we work in. I think the best leaders that I've worked with have always said, you know what, Al, like you were talking about, hey, I don't know if I want to be a manager. I don't know. I just know that I want to develop and I want to figure it out. And I think too many times as organizations don't say, I always believe like, hey, if you want to learn, man, learn. Like, yes, you have a day job, but I want to give you opportunities to learn, because what I know that does, it drives engagement. And when you're engaged, you're going to perform better. So the more I can drive engagement and give you opportunities to develop, right? Development isn't a bad thing. That means people always talk about, hey, we have to be agile. Well, agility is only as good as you're trained to be agile. The knowledge you have to be able to apply makes you agile. You're not agile because you see something and go, I'm going to weave around it. You have to understand, do I weave around it, or do I face this thing head on like that buffalo behind you when the storm's coming, right? And so I think that's one of the things that I think is important too, as we think about leadership and development and retaining the best by equipping them to be their best, is why do we limit development opportunities, just for those chosen few who want to be a leader, right? Yeah. Or they want to be a coach, you know what I mean?
I agree, Todd. I think if people aren't challenged in growing, they get stale. Like, it happens, and they don't even know that they need challenge. It's just, you start to watch people wane and lose focus, lose engagement, start to complain more, focus on all the negativity of whatever's going on. It's because you're not challenged, you're not growing. And your job as a leader, my job as a leader, and companies' jobs is to continue to appropriately challenge people and stretch them to help them become the best version of themselves. Because I promise you, if they feel good at work, their family reaps the benefit at home, and they just live a happier life.
Yeah, no doubt, man. There's enough stress on people nowadays. There's enough craziness going on in the world. We don't need it at work, right?
You don't need any more ditties.
Yeah.
No more P. Diddy's running around.
Yeah. Oh, that story is nuts. I don't even want to go down. That's not for framing leaders.
That's not leaders. That's the opposite of framing.
It's framing kookiness. That's serious, man. Man. A statistic that I thought was kind of surprising. With one of your thoughts on this and how leaders can overcome this. 73% of leaders only spend 5% of their time coaching their people. Wow. So let me say that again. 73% of leaders only spend 5% of their time coaching their people. One, what are the implications of that as you think about that? I know I'm just throwing this at you. And then you as a coach and leader, how do you try to prioritize your time around coaching and development?
Yeah. Well, that's sad and that's shocking, actually. Like I had no idea that 5% it was that low. I get it with all that is thrown at people, that they're trying to manage their lives as well as the tasks and make spreadsheets look great. which it happens at every company. There's no company that is removed from that. So I think it's a significant gap. That is eye opening. For me, like one of the things, and this is just my opinion, obviously, and this is just the way I operated. Tasks would sit there and not get done. And I was okay with it because what was most important for me was the people. Like this is the thing. So when I'm with the people, like, let me be with them because this is where I'm going to invest. If you want me, you hired me to lead a team, and you didn't hire me to manage process. And there's process, there's parts of that. But I spend the majority of my time really focusing. I don't know what percentage, to be honest, Todd, but I know it was more than 5, and it was a priority to me. And here's the difference. I think the heart of the person in leadership is so critical.
Yeah.
Because if the heart is not in a good space and you actually do not care about people,
that goes back to your thought on servant leadership and transformation leadership. Their thought is, right, I want to serve you for you to thrive and be at your best transformation. I want to, not that you're so, you can touch that person's soul, but your mindset is, I want you to transform into the best version of yourself that you want to achieve, right? I think that's the difference. And to your point, it is that mindset, that heart, that I think it's always the intention. What's your intention of going into leadership and coaching? That's the one thing that I always ask people, why do you want to be a coach?
Right.
What is it that is driving you towards this role? And some people, you could say, like, dude, you could feel it, like, I just want to get out of sales. I'm tired of calling on offices. I'm just tired of the monotony of it, right? It wasn't. And then you got people like, hey, man, like, I love to teach and coach. I love to connect with people. I love to help them become their best.
Yeah.
And that's where you, and I don't know if you've ever seen this statistic. This statistic shocked me, Al, was that Gallup did a study, and it's called Why Are Great Managers So Rare? It was a study they did a while back. But they found through their research that 84% of the time, companies, when they choose a leader, choose poorly. 84% of the time. So one of the things that we talked about when we were running our development program is, how do we take subjectivity out of as much subjectivity out of the interviewing and selection process possible? Now, you're never going to take it all out, and you shouldn't take it all out. I think there should be some subjectivity into the process, because assessments don't tell you everything.
Correct.
But like the Hogan High Potential, we use quite a bit. We use the emotional intelligence. We use the HBRI, the LBI 360, right? There's actually an MQL, which is a servant leader assessment. And, think about the NFL. Right now we're in draft, and I'm a draft freak. So you think about the magnitude where they look at the people they're going to select. I mean, they don't leave a stone unturned, for God's sake. Right. Yes, they still get those things wrong, but, they know that they're investing a lot of capital into these players that they're going to draft, and they want to make sure they're identifying the right skills and characteristics and capabilities. And it's interesting to me that, many times as leaders and in leadership in HR, they don't use that same mindset. Like, hey, I know the data. To your point, if I choose a poor leader, what does that do? It decreases performance. I'm not going to retain and attract great talent. Right? I'm not going to develop that talent. I'm not going to drive employee engagement. The culture is not going to be good. There's been data that shows that poor leaders have implications on the health of their employees. In fact, there was a study that was done at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden that they actually showed that 25 years post working for a bad leader, if you work for a bad leader over a period of time, it increased your chance of having an MI by 25%. Jeez. It increased your chance of having anxiety and depression by 15%. So leadership, it may say they don't kill you, but hey, they can make you, they can hurt you.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
If you think about it, like, if we look at the NFL and we look at how they try to take as much subjectivity, sometimes they go to extremes. Let's get real. Some of the stuff they do is nuts. But what they're trying to do is say, are we making sure when we draft or we hire somebody that they have the characteristics, competencies, and capabilities and skills needed to be a great quarterback, a great receiver, a great DN. Why don't we use that same? And that's where I said, like, why don't we use that same mindset when we're identifying leaders? Because if 84% of the time we choose poorly, if you and I didn't hit our sales number 84% of the time, let me tell you something, bro, we would have been around. Like you and me, as nice as I think we both are, who cares? Nobody cares.
Todd, the question, I think the reason why is no one knows that statistic, number one. And it's been done a certain way for so long that they continue doing it that way. And it's like, it's time to start looking at some facts and some percentages and studies and go, okay, how do we right the ship? Because you know as well as I do, if you bring the right people into leadership of people, the game changes. We experienced that. We experienced that at our last company. It was unreal.
Well, yeah, the energy, the commitment to being Biohaven, dude.
Crazy.
You know, when BJ or Chris got on stage, right? When those dudes talked to the group, people were like, where's the wall? How hard do I have to hit it? And how often do I have to hit it?
Yeah, people were willing to sign over their mortgages to those two guys, man, because of the way that they led with transparency, with vulnerability, with honesty, and accountability. There wasn't nothing soft about it. There was accountability there.
Right. Yeah. Well, think about it. I think and I did a research on our YouTube page around a study that was done and published in the Journal of Administrative Sciences by these three professors at the University of Johannesburg in South Africa. And they looked at the functions of a servant leader and the impact that servant leadership has on an organization. And one of the things they talked about was like, if you're a servant leader and you want the best for people, if you truly want the best for people, then you're going to have to give some hard feedback sometimes. To your point, you're going to have to respectfully point out areas where they're not as good as they could be, and that you're going to challenge them to get better. I mean, and that's not soft. I mean, I think the best leaders are those who want the most, and hence they invest the most. And, one of the things we both know as athletes is if my coach didn't pay attention to me, that probably he didn't want to pay attention to me because I probably wasn't in his eyes good enough.
No potential.
But those coaches who invest in you, right? They see potential. I always just say, like, when we think about those who focus on management, like that's and those people, you've seen those people out in the field when you've worked with them, like, hey, they're great at processes. They're great at getting those expense reports in time. They're great at analytics and insights, but their people they're not with their people. Yeah. I always just say, like, it's easy to be a manager because anybody can manage process.
Yep.
It's harder to be a leader and coach because you have to invest in people. That shows that you give a crap about somebody. When I lead you and I coach you and I'm working with you to try to transform you and help you become something that you might not even thought you become. And there's no greater moment in a life of a coach or a leader when somebody goes, dude, I never thought I could reach the level that I'm at without you or without what you told that I could do. And I think that's, 100%. To me, that's, to your point, the impact that great leaders have on an organization. And that's what this study showed was like, hey, servant leadership is not soft. Servant leadership, there are only two leadership styles that have ever been shown to optimize performance, enhance culture, enhance well-being, enhance belonging, enhance inclusivity, and servant and transformational leader. Those are the only two leadership styles ever to show. Yeah. Right. So if we're going to drive organizations, especially in the age of AI, right, when AI is going to, a lot of stuff AI can start to do and can help impact our lives. But if leaders don't show people, like, it's not going to take your job away, but you have to embrace this mindset. You have to learn how to leverage it and use it. And that we're going to have to be better at coaching and developing people instead of being the kings of analytics and insights, because AI can do analytics and insights like that.
Like that. That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Todd. I think the other thing that you said was you're talking about, management being a process. And people try to take that over into people leadership. People aren't a process.
Dog's excited. Can you hear my dog in the background, bro? He's excited.
He's excited about the conversation. He's getting pumped up about servant leadership.
Situation. Yeah, servant leadership and that gets his juices flowing.
That's great. But what I was saying was, Todd, like one of the things too, you said the other thing was because they give a crap. They care.
Right.
And I always think that people are asking these three questions when you lead them. Do you care about me? Can you help me? And can I trust you? So they're
Yeah.
always like, you don't know they're asking that, but every
Yeah.
single day they're asking those questions, and you have the ability to build trust or
Yeah.
lose it based on those three things. And I just think what you're
No, I
saying.
love that. I think as leaders, especially in our world, I used to always say, like, hey, y'all, your job is not to go out and assess your people's skills. Your job is to go out to develop and proactively develop your people's skills so they can execute when you're not there. And and to your point though, how many managers think like, how often are your teams assessing you when you're out in the field? Every time. They're assessing you all the time.
You say something, you make a move, they're on it, and they do not forget. So I always went with the thought process that, look, I have to earn their trust. I give my trust away to my people freely, but I have to earn their trust. And then ultimately what I think happens is they now go, okay, now it's easy for me to lose. So I've got to pay attention to that every week.
Yeah. I had a match. I had to put my Sweet Rolls hat on.
I love the hat, bro.
That's my boy, Lance Garvin. Lance, Find Mojo, the Motivators Assessment. Lance is a partner in Sweet Rolls putter grips. I mean, the most beautiful putter grips you're ever going to see, dude. Right here. This is one of them. Look at that thing.
So are you putting better because of the grip?
If I'm not, it's not the grip's fault. And it just, it actually helps me because it's so sweet and juicy. I can't help but putt better, brother.
I like that you're taking ownership of your putting and not blaming the putter.
Yeah, it's the Indian, not the arrow.